G'day, John for Thehotend. The people at GearBest sent me something a little bit different this time for you to have a look at. This time we're going to have a look at a laser engraver cum cutter cum printer, you name it. It's called the ORTUR or ORTUR laser, and I've put together a few examples of what this thing can do. So let's go ahead and check out firstly what it is and then what it can do. Okay, this is the ORTUR. These are pictures from the website, and as you can see, it's a laser printer engraver. That's the laser module, and these are the specs of the machine, what it can do as far as power and what have you. And you'll see there its area, which is very good, 400 by 430 I think it was, and it comes in a box, funnily enough, with lots of packing material. That's what it looks like. I'm not good on unboxing, like what do you expect? It comes in a box and it's very well packed. So we'll just skip through these few photos. And for the purpose of this test I used LightBurn as the software to drive it. It was the free version at the time. So here we go. This is after I've been playing around with the LightBurn settings. I'm certainly no expert on LightBurn. This is the first time I've used a software system like this. So this is just in the outline mode or the cutting mode on a piece of cardboard. It's not meant to be cutting through it, it's just to show you what it does. Now this is a piece of just normal white A4 paper. I went online and was able to find some good examples of stencils and decided that we'd cut this one out. Now we're actually cutting the paper at this stage, and this is speeded up of course. Now white is not all that good for lasers. It usually likes a darker colour, and I should have really got a heavier paper, like an art paper, but it still worked fine. You'll see the end result in just a tick. This is actual speed. You'll notice in a lot of these clips I start at actual speed and then skip through the middle and then finish on the actual speed. Nearly done, there we go, goes back to home. And you'll see here, this is what it looks like when you put it on a black background. Now, some more cutting. This time, what I'm cutting on here is a piece of pine that I'd cut a thin strip from. This strip was probably a little less than 1 millimeter thick, and you'll see now that it's actually doing I think it was a second pass. As long as you don't move anything, you can pass over the original as many times as you want if it doesn't go right through on the first attempt. It all depends on your power and your speed of the laser. I'm not going into all the details of how you set all that up. That's a LightBurn learning curve, and it's really not that hard. Okay, that's finished, and you'll see that these, I had it taped down just in case, but didn't really need it. These letters just pop straight out of that piece of wood. No problem at all. But like I said, it's quite thin, 1 millimeter or less. And there's your letters. Did a pretty good job really, considering it's a fairly low powered laser. Now this again is a cutout test. This is on a piece of ply that came with the printer, not the printer, the laser engraver. See, I'm used to 3D printing. This piece is, well, getting close to 2 millimeters thick. So the speed has been reduced, the power has been increased, and I think from memory it was 3 passes on this to get it to cut through. You'll notice the background tiles that it's printing on. I'll tell you more about that later on. Okay, obviously it wasn't right through, so this was the 3rd pass. And as I said, as long as nothing moves, it will just retrace over its original steps. Okay, sorry about the focus. I had the camera on autofocus, I forgot to take it off, so sorry about that. And that's done. Alright, there's our letter, and as you can see it's almost all the way through, not quite. So if I'd have gone around the back of that with an X-Acto knife or something like that, it would have popped out a lot easier, but as it is I'm just pushing it through, and you'll see the letter actually will break there, like there, it's broken. But for the purposes of the test you can see what it does, and you can almost see the thickness of it there. And again, quite a reasonable job, not bad at all. This is a piece of black acrylic that again came with the laser, and I'm just engraving into the top of it. This is not in cutting mode, this is in engraving mode, as in for pictures and the like, and that's how it came out on the acrylic. So as you can see, I had a bit of fun playing around, getting settings right and that sort of stuff. So we'll move on now to where I went out into the garage and did a bit more testing on the engraver. So it's a bit long, but it is what it is. All in all, I was very happy with the job that it did, and I would recommend it if you're looking for something like this. It worked really well. There's a link in the description through GearBest if you are interested in getting one. Same deal, it's an affiliate link, blah blah. But all in all, yeah, a top little machine. I've used it a lot. Okay, here we are out in the workshop. Now I'm out here because this laser makes a lot of smoke and stuff, so I have to do it out here in my garage cum workshop. And I'm going to show you some of the practical applications I've come up with this. I make these boxes. They're just a wooden trinket box. It's my other hobby, bit of woodworking. And you'll see on the lid here, I've burnt in a motif on the lid. This is yet to be finished. It's got to have the clear lacquer put on it. But the other thing that I need with these boxes is I line the bottom with this felt stuff. Now, I don't know what this stuff is, but it's horrible to try and cut. I have tried scissors, I've tried razor blades, I've tried rotary cutters, and it's just horrible. So what I'm going to do today is see if the ORTUR laser can cut out a perfect rectangle to fit my box. Let's have a go. Okay, here we go. We're using LightBurn. I'm still on the free version at the moment, and I'm not going to give you a course on how to use LightBurn because it's taken me a fair while to figure out some of the basics myself. And this is all about the ORTUR laser, not the LightBurn software. But I'll just show you. Over here there's a thing called create a rectangle, which is very convenient. So we're going to create a rectangle like so. Now, it doesn't matter what size just yet. because we can go up here and set the dimensions, and I need a width of 158 millimeters. We need to unlock that, otherwise it proportions to everything. And 200 and, I've got it written down here, 234. 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's the rectangle. We want to rotate it to the way we want it, which about there, not quite, about there, move it over. Okay, there's our rectangle. Now, this material, hang on, I'll just zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. Now it is a bit dark in the shed. I've had to shut the door, so I'll go down here so you can see what's going on. This material is, it's a felty, nylon-y something. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it, as I said, is hard to cut and it frays like anything. So I'm going to cut it from the back. This is the first time you're seeing a first time live here. Well, not live, but you know what I mean. So we're going to put that down there. These are just some old ceramic tiles I had laying around, stops it going through onto my workbench. So we'll turn the ORTUR on, and it fortunately has a little function here where, oh, like connected device. Okay, did a little home there. It has a thing here that allows it to show you where it's going to cut. Fine, fits on the piece nicely. Now, I watched a video on YouTube the other night, several videos as I normally do, and they went into a lot of detail about how to focus the laser. Now, one shortcoming I found with this laser is there is no easy up and down movement of the actual laser module. It's screwed at the back and you've got to unscrew it and move it up a set of holes, blah, blah, blah. There's a focus ring down underneath that you probably can't see, but the manual says that the bottom of the cooling fins to your surface that you're lasering should be 55 millimeters. So I've found the easiest way to do that is move the whole thing. So if what I'm cutting is, say, that thick, right, I just bump up the leg by the same amount. Then you don't have to worry about focusing and all that stuff. Like, I'm assuming you've already done all that for the base layer, and you just move the whole thing up and down to match the thickness of the thing that you're lasering. So for example, with this, you know, it's that thick, so you get a couple of wedges or pieces of wood or whatever that's that thick, and you just lift it up. It's that easy, really. I don't see the point in mucking around changing focus and all that stuff. All right, everything is set to go. Everyone with their safety glasses on, and here we go. and that really stinks. We'll come back in a minute. Okay, we're just about done on our third pass, and hopefully that's been enough to go right through this. It's quite thick fabric, probably a millimetre or more. I'm fairly hopeful that's gone right through. Might not have even needed the third pass, but what the hell. And that's it, done. Now, keep your fingers crossed. Ah, look at that. That is perfect. And because it's been done with the laser, and this is a nylon-esque type product, it's also sealed the seam somewhat. So no fraying. I'm really happy with that. That's perfect. Okay, so if we get the box, with any luck, that's going to sit nicely. That'll sit down in there nicely. Fantastic. Now this is an example of what I was talking about with the focusing. I'm going to be putting a sign on this. I hope it works because it's got a bit of finish on it, but it's yay thick. So instead of fiddling around with the focus on the laser, I've just lifted the whole frame up by the thickness of the wood, and we should be good to go. I'll show you the end result, hopefully. Okay, so far so good. I've had to open more doors in my garage. It's a little windy outside, but the smell for this varnish or whatever was on that piece of wood is pretty bad. Anyway, I'll show you the end result once it's finished. Okay, this is the finished product. If you hadn't guessed already, my wife's name's Karen and she wanted a sign to put on her garden. Just a bit of clip art there. I've just got to trim the ends off and give it a few coats of clear lacquer, and that will look really good. This is cutting out a stencil directly onto masking tape, so it sort of takes a step out of the stenciling process, and you'll see what it is that I'm actually cutting out here at the end of this video. Stay tuned for that. Just a few of the tests that I did using the picture type printing mode or lasering mode. You'll see that the clarity is actually pretty damn good on this. Took a bit of fiddling around with speeds and laser power and that sort of thing. You can see written on that it was at 1800 speed and 50% power. Now we're going to get into a time lapse of a very interesting photograph. Well, maybe it's not so interesting. So just bear with this one because it takes a minute or two, but we'll get into some really sped up time lapse in a second, and then I'll show you what it actually is at the end. Looking familiar yet? Almost done. And there it is. Now, I'm really impressed with the resolution and the detail that this laser produces, and I'm certainly no expert in setting these things up and playing around with it, but I was getting some pretty good results as a novice. Have a look at that. This is just on a piece of normal plywood. Pretty good, I reckon. So here's that stencil I was talking about earlier. Came out nice. That's it for today. We'll see you on the next video.